Hey, what's going on, you guys? Chris Shanafelt at Chris Shanafelt on Twitter. Just thought I'd hop on Periscope really quick to give my thoughts on the NFL Honors Awards and, of course, a prediction on the Super Bowl 54 Chiefs and Niners. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For those that are tuning in, whether you're tuned in live or watching the recorded version of this, appreciate it. Go ahead and feel free to chime in with any of your questions or concerns or comments, I should say. But yeah, so we'll start off with the NFL Honors Awards that was announced last night, and then we'll go into the Super Bowl 54 prediction. So we'll start off. Defensive Player of the Year was awarded to Stephon Gilmore, cornerback for the New England Patriots. I thought it makes sense. I mean, he was a shutdown cornerback all season long for arguably the best defense in the NFL, despite what you want to say about the New England Patriots and the fact that they play in a very weak NFC East division. Stephon Gilmore held his own all season long, had 6 interceptions, was really one of those shutdown corners all season long, and the season that Stephon Gilmore had, it brings you back to the likings of Darrelle Revis in his prime, or those top-notch cornerbacks. The way Stephon Gilmore played this year, so Defensive Player of the Year, rightfully so, in my opinion. I had no problem with that. I know there's some people out there clamoring for T.J. Watt, who had a career-high 14.5 sacks this season. Every year you could always bring up Aaron Donald and the impact that he has on the defensive side of the football. But this year, the Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Stephon Gilmore. I have no problem with that. Again, Offensive Player of the Year, this is another interesting one. Michael Thomas, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. He had a career high and an NFL record, 149 receptions to go with over 1,700 yards and 9 touchdowns. I thought this would be an award where you would see Christian McCaffrey's name go, but obviously it wasn't. McCaffrey, 1,000-yard rushing, over 1,400 yards rushing and 15 touchdowns to go with 1,000 yards receiving and 4 more scores. So I thought this made sense for Christian McCaffrey, but I'm certainly not going to rain on Michael Thomas's parade. Entering the season, I was still iffy on how I felt about Michael Thomas. This year, he reassured that he truly is one of the league's top wide receivers. Really, really one of the more, if not the most reliable receiver in the league. And I thought, especially when Drew Brees went down for the 4 or 5 weeks that he missed, and Teddy Bridgewater was inserted at quarterback, I thought it was really impressive to see Michael Thomas continue playing at that high level and really coming down with most of the balls thrown his way. So he gets Offensive Player of the Year. I thought you could have made a really solid argument for Christian McCaffrey. I was actually pretty surprised that it wasn't Christian McCaffrey that got this Offensive Player of the Year award. But again, Michael Thomas, not going to argue it. Comeback Player of the Year, Ryan Tannehill. Totally makes sense. He took over a Tennessee Titans team that was 2-4 on the season. It seemed like their season was already just about over under Marcus Mariota. Mike Vrabel and company decides to pull the plug on that experiment, and they insert Ryan Tannehill, a guy that they were really high on in the offseason. They actually traded to get him from Miami for a couple draft picks, and Miami actually paid most of his salary this season for him to play on another team. And what he was able to do for Tennessee and that offense, something that we don't see too often, especially for a player being inserted into a 2-4 football team and then having Tennessee make the run that they did, defeating the Baltimore Ravens, team with the best record in the league, defeating them in the playoffs before that, defeating the New England Patriots, both of these games on the road as well, in New England, in Baltimore, hostile environments, and you're entering those games with a quarterback in Ryan Tannehill who did throw for 22 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. And that last month of the NFL regular season, he was up there with one of the better or one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So seeing where Ryan Tannehill came from, struggled in Miami, couldn't really stay healthy, and this almost kind of felt like one last chance for Ryan Tannehill to revive his career, and he certainly made the most of his opportunity in Tennessee. And then, of course, Chris Mortensen just reporting a couple hours ago, Tennessee, they fully intend to bring Ryan Tannehill back. That's a guy that they're very high on. And, hey, what you've seen from him this season, and especially having a running back like Derrick Henry in the backfield, how could you not be encouraged with what you've seen this past season out of the Tennessee Titans? And an exciting future for Tennessee moving forward, man, especially if they're able to bring Ryan Tannehill back and he's able to continue playing at the level that he played at this past season. Moving on, MVP, unanimously voted Lamar Jackson. Honestly, not surprised at all. I mean, maybe I am a little surprised that it was a unanimous vote, but totally well worth it for Lamar Jackson and where he came from. Had his struggles his rookie season, specifically in that playoff game against the LA Chargers. But I don't think anybody expected to see Lamar Jackson come back in year 2 and take this team to new levels. Best team in the regular season, 14-2 record. Lamar Jackson, 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions to go with another 1,200 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. I haven't seen a quarterback run for over 1,000 yards since Michael Vick, and those comparisons have been there since day one for Lamar Jackson, and not bad for a running back, as Lamar Jackson would say. I mean, a stellar season. Yeah, it didn't end the way that the Baltimore Ravens wanted it to, but what we've seen from Lamar Jackson was truly special this season, and really happy to see him named MVP and to see that it was a unanimous vote. That really speaks volumes to how special of a year Lamar Jackson had for the Baltimore Ravens this season. Then Coach of the Year went to John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens. Again, 14-2 record. The offense has gotten a lot of praise, rightfully so, led by Lamar Jackson. And, Mark Ingram was a great addition that they brought in from free agency. He had a huge impact on the offensive side of the ball. But defensively as well, this was a team that really performed well. Really nice to see a guy like Matt Judon, a former Division II guy, 5th-round draft pick, and now he's entered his name as one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. We'll see how he cashes out in the offseason. I know there's reports that Baltimore really wants to hold on to him. Will they be able to afford him? Will be the question. So there's reports that Baltimore wants to hold on to him. They might have to hit him with the franchise tag. We'll see if they feel like he's worthy of that franchise tag. So yeah, I mean, Coach of the Year, John Harbaugh. Excuse me. Can't go wrong. I mean, you could have seen a Kyle Shanahan or certainly Andy Reid. Obviously, the two coaches that are here playing in tonight's game in the Super Bowl. But what Harbaugh was able to do with the Baltimore Ravens team this year, can't go wrong with that. Also, Greg Roman, Assistant of the Year. Again, really what that offense was able to do this season. There weren't expectations this high for this offense to perform at the level that they did this year. It's not like they have, the special weapons that like Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have. They do have some solid weapons there in Baltimore, like a Willie Snead. They obviously got Hollywood Brown in the draft, 1st-round pick this year. Mark Andrews at tight end had a really big breakout year for them. So Again, Greg Roman, Assistant of the Year, I think that's rightfully earned as well. How they were able to really totally switch up their entire offense and fit it to the perfect way for Lamar Jackson to perform at the high level. They didn't ask anything out of Lamar Jackson that he wasn't capable of doing, and I think more coaches need to look at and replicate what or try to replicate, a lot easier said than done, what the Baltimore Ravens were able to do this past season. So again, I'll go through them one more time. NFL honors last night. They announced the season awards, and Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore of the New England Patriots, defensive back. Offensive Player of the Year, Michael Thomas, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Comeback player, Ryan Tannehill, quarterback, Tennessee Titans. And MVP, Lamar Jackson. Coach of the Year, John Harbaugh. And Assistant Coach of the Year, Greg Roman, all of the Baltimore Ravens. Also, Walter Payton Man of the Year. You cannot forget about that award. Given to the NFL's best humanitarian, they say, for the year, and that was given to Calais Campbell of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So congratulations to all of those. And then, of course, you had the announcement of the modern-day Pro Football Hall of Famers. This is, of course, going to be a class that includes 20 enshrinees, and last night we found out who 5 of those 20 enshrinees are, and they include Troy Polamalu of the former Pittsburgh Steelers, safety, first ballot Hall of Famer, the only first ballot Hall of Famer in terms of these modern-day players that were announced last night. You have Steve Hutchinson, guard, most notably for the Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks as well. Edgerrin James, former Colts running back, had a stint with the Arizona Cardinals as well. Steve Atwater finally gets the call. He, of course, former 8-time Pro Bowl safety for the Denver Broncos back when the Elway years, when they were really a team to be reckoned with on both sides of the football. And then Isaac Bruce also gets the call as well. Another guy that's been waiting quite a bit from the Los Angeles Rams. So again, Polamalu, Hutchinson, Edgerrin James, Steve Atwater, and Isaac Bruce are the modern-day Pro Football Hall of Famers. And one last thing before we wrap this up. Quick Super Bowl prediction. Of course, we have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers tonight at Super Bowl 54. And just quickly, you get the best of both worlds. If you're a football fan, a fan of both offensive football, a fan of defensive football, you get a stellar defense with the San Francisco 49ers taking on one of the best offenses in the Kansas City Chiefs. Certainly an offense that has a ton of firepower, ton of speed on the offensive side of the ball with the Chiefs. I've been going back and forth all week long, but I think I will be taking the San Francisco 49ers. I think overall they're just the better overall team, and it's more so with the defense side of the football. I think they're going to make a couple more plays than the Kansas City Chiefs will on that side of the football. That'll make Kansas City pay and ultimately win the San Francisco 49ers the Super Bowl. I think specifically, opposite side of Richard Sherman could be a bit of a problem. They've been having a problem at that cornerback spot. Obviously, they benched Ahkello Weatherspoon. I think Mosley, the young cornerback, has stepped up and played pretty well the last couple of weeks since Witherspoon was benched. So that could be an issue if Mahomes has his way on the offense side of the ball. But my biggest thing is the Kansas City Chiefs defense. I think specifically their linebackers are a weakness. They got a couple of former first-round draft picks in Reggie Ragland and Darren Lee, but they're obviously still a weakness. They're not playing up to the level that they were drafted at a couple years ago. Obviously, they're not with their teams that they're drafted to. And I think with George Kittle, maybe Deebo Samuel stretching the field, I think that could really be a big problem for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. We all know that San Francisco is going to want to run the football, but I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to, and I think he will, make a couple big plays for the San Francisco 49ers on the offensive side of the football in order to pull out the victory. So I'm thinking it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm thinking the San Francisco 49ers pull this one out. I think they could put 30 points on the Kansas City Chiefs defense, I think. I'll go San Francisco 32 and the Kansas City Chiefs 27. It'll be a 5-point game. It'll be a close game. It's going to be a great game, in my opinion. Two of the best teams, obviously, to get to this point, and two of the hottest teams in the league. And it just seems like all season long, this is San Francisco's year. And I think San Francisco ends up pulling away with the victory. Again, I'll go 32-27, 5-point victory for San Francisco. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be named MVP, Eastern Illinois quarterback. Obviously, he's been on this stage before. Hasn't played in the Super Bowl, but he's been a part of a team in the New England Patriots that have been here and have won it in the past. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo comes in ready and makes a couple plays, and ultimately will be named game MVP. And that's about all we have. Just wanted to go over the NFL Honors Awards, the modern day Pro Football Hall of Famers that were announced yesterday, and then give a quick prediction on the Super Bowl. So appreciate anybody tuning in, and I'll try doing this more often here and there. So thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the game.